It's the Score North Twin Show.
Wouldn't think of a spot like that for two young players, but they're filling those holes really well. Julien's been, he's in a really great run right now, and he's been in a great run since the day he signed professionally, and he's doing it at the major league level now. And AK driving those balls the other way, the way he is right now, that's big time stuff.
A lesson to keep him in the lineup against all pitchers, because he's probably your best hitter. Is it safe to say Alex Kirilloff is probably the Twins' best hitter?
Yes, because if we're just talking about pure approach at the plate, he's the only guy on this team that I think could win a batting title at some point.
Boy, Julien might actually have the ability to win.
Yeah,
Julien's numbers are better over the last 30 days, I want to say, than Luis Arraez. Now, that's a 30-day sample. Arraez has done it for 4 years in the major leagues.
Right.
But and Kirilloff needs to do it against left-handed pitching on a regular basis. It was nice to see a couple of games ago the home run against the lefty. But wow, this is 3 days in a row of the Score North Twin Show. What's gotten into us?
Well, because they're playing the right guys. They're doing the right thing. Buxton doesn't play last night. The lineup moves. What we saw last night was awesome. You know why? Because it's baseball as God intended it, 2023.
So basically, as long as the Twins keep doing the things that we demand on the Score North Twin Show.
But anyone demands them that watches games. This is not hard. Joey Gallo was the only clog in the drain last night, if you want to consider that approach to be a clog. But when Byron Buxton doesn't hit third, you guys, think about that for a second. It's not like he's been hitting ninth. He's been hitting third. Alex Kirilloff right now, it's not even a discussion, is a far better choice, even if he goes 0 for 5 to hit third, than Byron Buxton is, because the at-bats are so much better. So, yes, this is fun to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed last night's game.
Yeah, well, it's at this point, when it comes to lineup construction, it's pretty common knowledge among front offices and casual fans that you want to load up the first 3 slots with your best OPS hitters, right? Your best on-base hitters and your best OPS or WOBA hitters if you want to go deep into the analytics. So Carlos Correa might not be that statistically, but he is, just in terms of career and track record, he's one of those 3 guys. And on this year's team, Julien and Kirilloff are the other 2. And you could say Donnie Barrels when he plays, and he got in for a couple pinch hit at bats last night too. But in terms of guys that you're going to run out there on a daily basis that aren't part-time players, Julien and Kirilloff should absolutely be among your top 3 hitters in the lineup. And I'm okay continuing the Correa experiment in that leadoff spot. He hit a bomb late in the game last night. The game was already kind of decided, but now you came into this series. And I should say, too, that this is the Score North Twin Show. We would appreciate a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple Podcasts, as we have relaunched this thing after a 2-year hiatus. And really just have one mission statement on this show. We just want the Twins to win a playoff game for the first time in almost 20 years. All right, let's keep our eye on the prize here. But you said, Judd, going into this series that you feel like if their bats sort of awaken in this 4-game series, you'll start to lean forward in your chair a little bit more as we go toward the trade deadline. Now, we're only 2 games in here. They did lose the first game, but a 10-run outburst last night, nice little sign. It's a nice little sign.
Yeah, and the bats have been, I think, without question, and yes, it was the A's, but still, in the 5 games they played since the break, the bats have been improved. Correa hitting first in probably still what could be considered a smaller sample size appears to have worked. He has gone from being, oh my God, this is a terrible year, which I talked about a lot, to being, you know what, okay, he's being productive. But I love last night's lineup because it's the lineup that will actually help this team as far as creating runs in 2023. You're not relying on, Byron Buxton, yeah, he's struggling, but if he gets hold of one, right? And then Gallo gets hold of one, I heard Falvey yesterday on CCO with Chad Hartman try to say, we're not nearly as obsessed with the home run as people think. And I thought to myself, that's a load of crap, Derek. But like last night, we saw that. And then the other thing that we saw that I absolutely loved last night was this. Bailey Ober in the first was absolutely awful. And Seattle ran themselves into 2 stupid outs, but they did it, so they're still outs, right? Ober rebounded and came back, and I thought was fantastic.
You know what he did?
Battled his tail off?
He battled his tail off last night.
Oh, my. Did you guys hear the Nick Blackburn comparison from Bramer during that whole iteration yesterday when Ober was battling his tail off?
Bailey should sue.
There was a good, probably 6-minute breakdown from Dick on, when Nick Blackburn started with the Twins, he sometimes needed that sinker ball to start going more in the second and third inning. And it's like, look, Blackburn was a great little sinker ball warrior for the Twins for a little bit there. Let's not compare Bailey Ober. It was, though. He was a sinker ball warrior. Let's not compare.
Get all lathered up.
Oh, my God.
Love it.
Dude, Blackie, I feel like he gets a lot of slander because, he was kind of a train wreck the last couple of years. But Blackie had 2 workhorse seasons.
Yeah, he was a warrior.
400 innings over 2 years.
He was a sinker ball warrior, Declan.
He was, 163 warrior. People forget about that. He gave up 1 bad pitch to Tomey. Could have had the team in the playoffs.
That's true. Yeah, he could have been. Man, he could have been. Now, he got the contract either way, but boy, if the Twins would have won that's the game 163 that nobody talks about, right? Like the game 163 that we all remember is 2009, but that was also a pretty epic game 163.
Yeah.
I think that 08 team was better than the 09 team.
Was more so.
Yes, both Morno and Morno were healthy then.
Okay, and then Morno did he not play down the stretch in 09? I'm trying to remember because he had like a back injury or something.
Yeah, Morno was out down the stretch, and Mauer and Morno were 2nd and 4th in MVP voting in 08. So you had your heart of your order then. But
and since we're down this side path of Twins history, in 2010, before the concussion, Justin Morneau was the best hitter in baseball. He was on pace to. It was a better season than the 06 season. He was on pace to win his 2nd MVP. Who knows what his career looks like at that point if he doesn't get the concussions. But anyhow, so the Twins, they're back 2 games over 500 after the win last night. Cleveland is, after winning again, still a game and a half back. So all right, let's see what happens the rest of this series. But I think, back just to put a bow on this Buxton thing, the lineup flows better right now. Just give the guy 10 days off, right? Like, what is the... You got Wallner up here, right? You got enough outfielders and DHs and stuff. Like, just give the guy 10 days off on the injured list and see what happens. Is there any reason to not just do that at this point?
Do you think that they are potentially, and this is just reckless speculation on my part, but do you think they're trying to time it up with Polanco's return? Because when Polanco comes back, he's probably going to go back to second base. Julien is, he was born to DH. And he's good. Like that, he needs to play. He needs to play, and he doesn't need to just stay here. He needs to play as much as possible, probably. I wonder if they're going to time it up with the move, instead of Wallner going back down, would be to IL Buxton for 10 days, Polanco back, Julien still playing.
Yeah. And you know what? This should be the plan going forward, too. And I say if, it's kind of weird to say this, but if Buxton continues to play Major League Baseball in 2024 and beyond, and I think he will, but the injuries are just, at this point, like it's just a tsunami of knees and hips and back and stuff. They should just build in 2 mandatory, hey, there might be some other stuff that pops up, but no matter how you feel, unless you're just like the hottest hitter in baseball, okay, we'll wait till you cool off. But you're going to get a 10-day IL stint in late May, maybe like middle of May, and then you're going to get another one sometime around or after the All-Star break, or maybe closer to August. You're just going to get those. And if we have to wait, like, okay, you're on fire right now, but we'll wait till you go, 1 for 20. He can't, even as a DH, he clearly can't sustain a 6-month regular season, unfortunately.
I realized that there would be a lot of finances in the statement I'm about to make, but how long do you think he is going to try this? Like if this continues, where he just literally, he's got a hip, he's got a back, he's got a knee, and some of this is chronic, so it's going to stay. I mean, the man is so talented, so fun to watch, and his frustration, not just for this season, but his entire career. Do you think he sticks it out, or do you think he says, you know what, I just can't, screw it?
I guess if it were me, and what's his base salary? $15 million, and then he's got a bunch of bonuses if he like gets MVP votes and whatever.
Yep.
If it's me and I'm getting $15 million a year for the next like 6 years or whatever the length, I'd have to look up the contract. I would probably make them DFA me. Because if you retire, then you give that money back, right? Like if you retire and there's 4 years left on the contract.
Yeah.
So I guess I would continue to try and grind it out until, like, I would make the Twins tell me it's time. And I don't think you can do that going into next year. I think you should give it another shot and see what happens. And maybe you put him on the IL for 10 days and he comes back. And
I agree.
Boy, what a luxury that would be if all of a sudden you put him on the IL for 2 weeks. He comes back relatively fresh, and he becomes a big time power threat for you down the stretch. Like, you could use that. But I don't think you can just rely. I mean, the fact that they were going into every game here these last couple of weeks relying on him as the 3-hitter. And I get baseball's weird and it's a small sample size, but the minute you pull him out, the lineup just looks and feels better and makes more sense because you're putting guys who get on base and can drive the ball in the top 3 spots in the lineup. So if you put him on the IL and then when you bring him back, I think you bat him like 7th.
You're right. That's what I was going to say.
Like, sorry, I don't know what to say, dude. Like, these other guys are just better right now. Mm-hmm. So you're going to bat 7th? And Joey Gallo is a longtime baseball veteran. He's batting in the bottom third of the order every night, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think it should be this, if he's a team guy, I think Buxton is, I think he would understand. Yeah, this is one of the worst years of my career, basically, since I've been a regular player. And so he should have to earn his way back up into the top 3 or 4 spots.
And as I constructed that playoff lineup, just reiterating that point, I think having guys like Buxton and Gallo on your bench for a pinch hitting opportunity late in a game, those are good options, man. Like, those aren't just your classic utility hitter or backup catcher that has to come in. Like, those are 2 guys that can absolutely run into a baseball when you need it. So he might not start, which is weird to think that, hey, the Twins are back in the playoffs. Buxton is healthy, but he's not starting. But he could come off the bench and potentially run into a ball for you, or Joey Gallo can do the same thing. That's actually not the worst case scenario, in my opinion, going into the playoffs with him not in your starting lineup.
Yeah. And you should, as we sort of creep toward the trade deadline here in less than 2 weeks, I don't think you should operate based on hope. I think you should operate based on reality. And like, the reality of Buxton is he's not a very productive DH. So if there's a bat out there, and I'm curious, Declan, you were going through some of the John Boy stuff yesterday, and they were like making predictions on kind of where players would land, and you should share that here on the show. But I think you should operate as if you're not going to get the full version of Buxton for the last 2 months of the season. If he shows up, awesome, champagne problem, right? But if you have a chance to go get a Cody Bellinger, or, I mean, we've brought up Paul Goldschmidt's name on this show, right? And it's like, wow, but then you'd have to move so-and-so to DH, and Buxton's the DH. It's like, that would not be a major factor for me if I could get a real impact bat here in the next 2 weeks.
And if you do go down the path of putting him on the 10-day IL, which to me makes a ton of sense too, I think the reality when he comes back is not only when he starts in DHs does he have to bat in the bottom third of the order, but the other thing about it at work here, and I continue to see this, well, if he's not going to hit, play him in the outfield. I'm pretty sure right now that's not a possibility because he can't. So, like, you can't put him, I don't think, in center or right field because he's already suffering the effects of whatever is wrong right now just at the plate while sitting in the dugout between at bats. So if you put him in the outfield and he stands there, he's going to break down more. So I think what you're faced with here is he either DHs or pinch hits, and that's the conversation that you're going to have, which is, Byron, you know what? This is not your fault. This sucks. This is one of the saddest stories. This is going to be one of the saddest stories that's currently unfolding as far as player injury in the history of sports in this state. Like, this is really, really sad. But that being said, I think you have to say, you know what? Byron, we have other people that can DH as well. So, like, you're going to be in some form of a rotation. It's not that you're not going to play, but you can't just be penciled in night after night as a DH who clearly is having physical problems which are affecting him at the plate.
Yeah. I also just like, I hate to put this out there, but every time I watch Kirilloff, I just sort of like cross my fingers, cringe mildly that his wrist feels okay. Because he had that weird surgery in the offseason. It's kind of like a last-ditch effort to, all right, this is kind of the only... Didn't they, like, shave part of the bone down or something?
They shortened up the bone.
And I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen anything to suggest that he's feeling pain, and he's obviously hitting the ball really well. Doesn't he have, like, 3 consecutive 3-hit games now? Because his average is back on the rise. His on-base percentage is back up around 380. His OPS is... I believe the highest on the team of anyone that has that many at bats, and so
right.
So, before we get to a couple other things here, did you guys see? God, that Tyler Mahle trade, man.
Yeah.
So Spencer Steer's been among the toasts of that team, right? One of the better young players, and then Christian Encarnacion Strand comes up, who's been just there's nowhere to put him, right? The Reds are on fire. They got a great lineup.
Where are we gonna play him?
And he's the other guy that the Twins traded for Tyler Mahle. And so he's just been mashing in AAA. And last night he comes up, his first major league hit, right? And it was now that game actually, I think they wound up losing 11-10. But it was like a go-ahead 3-run jack in the middle of that game, to put his team out in front. So, man, if that guy also helps carry the Reds, the Twins are going to single-handedly vault the Reds into like the NLCS with these young players they gave for Tyler Mahle.
And I also was going through a story a couple days ago that said that there is now a chance that the Reds at the deadline, in their quest to improve themselves immediately because they're good, are going to potentially trade Chase Petty, who they got for Gray from the Twins, and turn him into current productive players too. So thank you very much, Minnesota Twins.
Maybe the Twins can, I don't know, do they want Sonny Gray back? Maybe the Twins can trade Sonny Gray for a couple prospects and then go get Max Scherzer or something. Maybe. So what was John Boy saying, Dex, about the game that they were playing that you were texting us about yesterday?
I saw a couple videos. So the game that they were playing was actually a genius game. It's kind of like it's like write that down, but to the next level even. So what they do, it's a snake draft with their 4 guys. So it's Plouffe, it's Chris Rose, it's Talkin' Jake, and they're all going around and they're doing a snake draft. And I wrote this down. I believe this is how the point system works. So you say, if Phil says, hey, Paul Goldschmidt will get traded. So if Paul Goldschmidt does get traded, you get 5 points. You nailed that player. You took that player to be traded. You are correct. He got traded. You get 5 points. Mm-hmm. You get another 5 points for naming the right team he goes to.
Okay.
And then you get another 5 points if that player was a former award winner. So like a former MVP, a Gold Glover, batting champion, an all-star. And basically by the end of the trade deadline, they look at who had the most points and who nailed all the right things. It's actually a pretty fun little game. So they went around the room, they all took players. And like in the middle of the draft, Plouffe came back around and he put Paul Goldschmidt to the Twins.
Wow.
And he first kicked this idea, I think, with Jake like 2 weeks ago. But he pretty much put it pen to paper, just like write that down, and said that they definitely don't want to trade for a rental. Like, why would the Twins trade for a rental? They don't have the prospects necessarily to do it, but they would trade for someone who has service time left or has control left, I should say, in a contract.
Wouldn't it be more expensive in prospect capital to trade for someone with more than? I would think it's the opposite. That if the Twins don't have any prospects to deal, it's more expensive to get a guy who's under team control for more than 1 year.
I guess they look at Goldschmidt as a guy who's making only $23.5 million next season too, and they would just still get more. They'd get a longer return with that player, and he believes his presence in the lineup will just awaken things. And now he did mention he wants to see Correa, he wants to see Goldschmidt, he wants to see Buxton all in the same lineup. I'm probably good on Buxton right now at this point, but he took Paul Goldschmidt going to the Twins, and even Chris Rose said, I mean, he's a that makes sense. Like Paul Goldschmidt, he was in Arizona before. He's been in St. Louis. Like him going to the Twins is not completely out of the realm of possibilities either.
Now, what I've read, though, over the weekend was that the Cardinals are really, really weird. First of all, their GM's in trouble. So there's a chance he's going to get fired. And what I read was the plan right now in St. Louis is to try to go get pitching and immediately compete next year. Like they don't want this to be a down. Their goal is, because they were picked going into the season to win the Central, so that they don't want to trade Goldschmidt because they see him as part of the solution. Now, what they're going to trade for pitching, I don't know. Yeah, but they don't want to, like, it's a Vikings, like, we don't want to be bad. Like, just because we're bad now, we don't want to hit the reset button yet. So it sounds like, unless they're bluffing, which is entirely possible, that the Cardinals don't want to trade him. But again, I think the question is this. If they're going to get pitching, which they desperately need, how are you going to get it then?
Yeah. Well, and the Cardinals are looking at it, too, as they have to fill basically three rotation spots for next season, with Flaherty being a free agent. I believe Montgomery's a free agent, and Adam Wainwright's, I believe, finally hanging it up. So they're looking at it as, like, how are we going to replace 3 guys for next year? We should start that process right away. And this year, and then their lineup is still mostly pretty good. And to Judd's point, they're not really ever a rebuilding team. They don't hit the nuke button. That's not really what St. Louis Cardinals baseball
Vikings
is.
like in that sense.
And that's why I dangled Bailey Ober. Like that, you deal a position of strength in a position that's known, and you're not looking for a prospect. Like Bailey Ober would step in and be a solid rotation piece for the St. Louis Cardinals for the next 3 years.
But see, that's the thing, though. The Twins would only be interested in trading Bailey Ober in a package that brought back Paul Goldschmidt. If you're the Cardinals, you'd only really want Bailey Ober, who's 27 years old, if you're keeping Paul Goldschmidt, right? Because he would be plugged in he'd be like your number 3 or number 4 starter for the next 2 or 3 years while you have Paul Goldschmidt. I think I would love the Twins to make a run at Goldschmidt, but I think Judd's instinct is right here, that if they do pull the trigger on that type of a trade, they're going to want guys, they're going to want arms who are 23, 24 or younger. They're going to want guys that are like, emerging into their mid-20s, not guys who are emerging into their late 20s and early 30s. Because if you're trading Goldschmidt, now you're looking at maybe like a 5-year window to ramp back up.
Cody Bellinger, boys. Cody Bellinger is the one that I think makes it. Like, if they're going to do this, and I know that he is not a right-handed bat, which is what they want, I think Bellinger actually makes the most sense of, like, a gettable guy. It's going to cost you, but it's doable.
Yeah, so I'm going to pull this up for you guys real quick. So for his career, so he's a left-handed hitter. For his career, he does hit right-handed pitching better than left-handed pitching, but he's always been very formidable as a left-handed hitter against left-handed pitching. This season, so smaller sample size, his OPS against left-handed pitching is almost 300 points higher than his OPS against right-handed pitching. So he has reverse splits as a left-handed hitter. He's batting .350 with a 1,066 OPS and 6 home runs and 89 trips against left-handed pitching.
And his contract is up, right?
Yes, he's a rental.
So he'll be a rental.
And he's a center fielder. So, and I saw, because we brought this up yesterday on the show, and I saw some people in the comment sections like, well, Michael Taylor is your best defensive. Why would you be looking to get rid of a Gold Glove center fielder? Well, you wouldn't be getting rid of him. You could even play Michael Taylor in a corner once in a while, or he comes in as a defensive replacement. But Michael Taylor gets on base 26% of the time.
Yes.
So I don't know. At some point, you got to put guys in the lineup that can move the chains and go score 8 runs once in a while, like you did last night, scoring 10 against Seattle, right?
And that was the other video I watched from John Boy, where he basically took he put a tweet out. I think he's on paternity leave, where he's just at home with his newborn baby. So he put a tweet out like, "Send me guys I should trade that you want to see your teams trade for." And he basically took information from the last 2 trade deadlines and tried to apply it to a current player. So I believe with Cody Bellinger, I think he used the Benintendi trade, and there's another player I'm blanking on right now. But basically, what history shows for a guy like Bellinger using service time and using past examples is really like the 11th to 10th best prospect in a system. Now, look, there's obviously the top 11th the Orioles' 11th best prospect is probably better than the Twins' 11th best prospect. Yeah. That's clear. Yeah. But it's not necessarily like, oh, Brooks Lee's off the table. Like, no. It's probably honestly like it's probably like a 12 to 8 range in the prospect guy you'd have to give up if you're the Twins to get Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's like, if you look at the Twins' top 10 prospects, 7 of them are either injured or struggling in the minor leagues right now, which makes it tough.
Here's one I also just remembered. What the hell do they do with Trevor Larnach at this point? Like, if Kirilloff is indeed here, and let's say even they get another big bat, like is Trevor Larnach, I know he's kind of graduated from the prospect list, but he's not far removed from being a first-round pick. I think in 2018, he was a first-round pick. So, I mean, there's still something there, but now there's such a logjam. Is he someone that could be dangled in a trade?
He could be, but I think that I would be curious what their plan for 24 is, though, because Gallo is almost certainly not going to be back. So, like, he would take over in left field. But to your guys' point about not caring about 24 and trying to win now, I would think that you could definitely dangle him.
Yeah, it's like it's so tough with Larnach because there is a good hitter in there, and he just probably needs some more, plate appearances in the major leagues. But he's 26 years old. So you're right, Declan. He was 2018 20th overall pick in the first round, but he's also out of college. So like he got drafted when he was 22 years old. 21, 22. And so now he's 26 years old. He's going to be 27 before spring training next year. So he's not, he's officially not a prospect because he's been in the big leagues for too long. But he's just like, at this point, he's kind of a quad A player. Like that would be the value on him. If you were a team, you would be buying low on him, hoping that he becomes, an everyday fixture in your lineup. But that's the problem with their stash right now. It's like they basically have Brooks Lee and a bunch of like corner outfielder, left-handed hitter, power type guys, right? Wallner, Larnach, you got Max Kepler as a veteran, you got all these like Joey Gallo. They just have a bunch of the same profile of hitter. So I don't know what you do with him, but if you can include one or two of these guys, like I'd trade Wallner too. Wallner's value is super high right now. So if you could sort of cash, unless you think he's going to be a mainstay. I mean, I think he's going to strike out too much to be a mainstay in a major league lineup, like to be like a number 4 hitter. So I would absolutely include Matt Wallner while everyone's looking at him and saying, wow, look at this guy. He's mashing in the minor leagues. He's holding his own in the majors. If you could flip that for like the current version of Bellinger or convince the Cardinals somehow that you need a Matt Wallner in a deal for Paul Goldschmidt.
Or the Reds. Convince the Reds.
Or the Reds, I guess.
Yeah, we want to improve you even more.
Send him over to the Reds. So the Twins apparently are on Immaculate Grid today. So we have to get to that in just a moment. But if you'd like to get out to a Twins game here, once they come home from this road trip, there's tickets available. Twins.com/tickets. Twins.com/tickets. You can see maybe Alex Kirilloff in the 3-hole. Maybe Julien in the 2-hole. This new revamped lineup that worked last night very well. There's a lot to sort of hang your hat on here still, even though the season hasn't been what everyone thought. The Twins are still in first place. It's the best bar in the Twin Cities. So check it out. Twins.com/tickets. And real quick, a shout out to our friends over at Livia for helping all sorts of Score North listeners lose weight over the past couple of years, Judd.
Yep, and it started with me a couple of years ago, dropped 40 pounds, and the best part about it is they are not only going to help you drop that weight, they're not only going to help you get back into clothes that perhaps haven't fit for a few years, but you know what? They're going to help you, the dietitians, nutritionists are going to help you keep the weight off, and right now, join and get 50% off your personalized program. That's right, personalized program. They are there with you every step of the way, not only through the weight loss process, which is incredibly important, but also the maintenance phase. So you don't just get abandoned when it's done. You get help through the entire process so that you will feel great, that you'll look great. Lose 10 pounds or more in your first 2 weeks, voted Minnesota's best weight loss program year after year. So many people, as Phil just said, from our Score North family have great stories to tell about their own weight loss journey. 855-GO-LIVEA, Livia.com. Livia days have arrived, folks. Livia, LIVEA.com.
All right, gentlemen, it's time for the Immaculate Grid Challenge here on the Score North Twin Show. We're going to put 5 minutes on the clock. Declan's going to bring this up on the screen for the YouTube audience. You're going to see a 9-box baseball tic-tac-toe square.
Oh, I love this.
The Twins are part of this.
Yeah.
So in order for us to be immaculate, we need to go 9 for 9 here. Any incorrect guess means we can't get the immaculate score.
We're getting under 100 today, boys. Just with the middle row, we're going to get under 100.
I can feel this.
Me too.
I can feel this in my bones.
So what we're looking for are two things. We need to go 9 for 9, completing the tic-tac-toe grid, and we'll explain that. But the more you can throw out obscure players, you can have a rarity score that's lower, right? So like they'll tell you, hey, the player that you put in this box, only 2% of people chose that player. Boom, your rarity score is 2 for that box. So we're looking for a Blue Jay who was a Ray, an A who was a Ray, and then a Ray who was an All-Star. But this is right in our wheelhouse. We're looking for a Twin who was a Blue Jay, a Twin who was an A. I could give you a Twin who was an A and a Blue Jay.
Me too.
Yep.
And
Analytics darling.
And a Twin who was an All-Star. And then we're looking for, let's see here, 100 RBI season who was a Blue Jay, 100 RBI season who was an A, and then a 100 RBI season who was an All-Star.
All right.
5 minutes on the clock. Let's go.
Let's knock out these Twins ones because I think these ones are the fun ones to do. So I think for All-Star, we should go really obscure here. The two names that came to mind right away, Ron Coomer or Matt Lawton.
Let's go Coomer. Let's go Coom Dog. Judd, you good with that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's some great obscure Twins.
0.5.
Yes.
1999, one of the greatest All-Star games of all time.
So
one of these things is not like the other. Yep.
Let me start the bidding with Twins A's with Grant Belfour as a rarity.
Okay.
I will even go because I don't know if people. I was going to say Danny Valencia.
Wow. Yeah, you're probably right. That's probably more rare.
Or because this guy actually works for both these two squares. Bobby Kelty played for both these teams.
Right.
Yep. Let's go Valencia for A's because that's got to be below 2%, right?
Swaggy V, 0.4.
Oh my gosh, let's go.
Nice. And then Kilty.
Bobby.
It won't be quite as rare.
Oh my God.
0.2.
0.2. So
it's the most
0.2.
rare. Oh my
Yeah.
0.4.
And he's in an A's
0.5.
hat. He's in an A's hat. Analytics darling Bobby Kilty. He was one of the first Twins that was actually tied to that.
Let's not blow this. Okay, we got 3.5 minutes to go here. So, all right. A Ray who was a Blue Jay, an A who was a Ray, an A who was a Ray. There should be a bunch of those, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Looking from the same groups.
Balfour.
Can't use them again, though. Oh, we did. Oh, we already, yeah, that's right.
Didn't use him.
Balfour
You're
played
right.
for both, right?
Let's do it.
Yes, he did. 6%.
Okay.
Interesting.
All-Star Tampa Bay, Kazmir?
Scott Kazmir.
I mean,
they
there've
had
been-
All-Stars every Aubrey Huff.
Yeah, there have been a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Aubrey.
How about Aubrey Huff? I
love
think, right?
Aubrey
I mean, we could go like David Price. We could go obvious, but.
Was Aubrey?
Oh, no!
Oh, you did
I don't know.
it!
We're just discussing. Oh, you clicked
Oh, you
it.
did it! No!
You clicked it.
No!
What do you know?
No! I was just
We
gonna
were
say don't!
We were just kicking it around.
No! Dude!
Oh,
Dude! This was our day! How did you do that?
I thought it was good to go. You said Aubrey Huff. I thought we were good to
No,
go.
We were
just
discussing.
having.
We were just
a
discussing. We were
conversation
just a
among friends, ex-friends now.
I curled it up. I curled it. Aubrey Huff.
Yeah,
Aubrey
because
Huff.
Phil was questioning himself, rightfully so, and I thought we were going to go more mainstream.
Let's finish strong here. We got 2.5 minutes. Let's finish strong.
I'm like Kirk. I'm flustered. I'm done. Darn right, I'm frustrated.
Okay, a Blue Jay who had 100 RBI season. I mean, Joe Carter, Vlad.
Yeah.
Wait,
no. Blue 100 RBI would be
Joe Carter, Vlad Jr. Are you looking for obscure? What do you?
Yeah, no. George Bell. Yeah,
Okay.
Joe Carter.
George Bell. Because I think it's 100 per box that you don't. So let's see if we can still get like
All
under
right.
150.
3%.
What is it?
Three.
3%. So not as low as I was
100
hoping.
RBI Oakland A. I mean, obviously McGuire, Canseco. Who's obscure?
Tejada or
Giambi.
Chavez.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Eric Chavez?
Did Eric Chavez
did.
ever weigh in
Yeah.
with 100?
That's a good one. He did.
5.
Oh, okay.
And then an all-star with 100 RBI. I mean, that could be anyone.
Yeah.
Minute 15. What about a Blue Jay Ray? We only have 2 guesses left, so whatever we feel.
Fred McGriff play for both of them?
Did Romo? No.
I think he did, dude. Yeah, he did. Fred McGriff did play for it was the Devil
Crime-
Rays.
Crime Dog.
McGriff.
10.
Okay, that's
10%.
not as low as I wanted.
All right, 1 guess left. 100 RBI season All-Star. I mean, is there anyone obscure
it could be
that you want to?
No, because I don't want to get cute here. I mean, there's
John Kruk. He had 100 ribs in a season once, didn't he? That's obscure.
Luis Gonzalez.
Yeah. Yeah, he for sure. Okay. Let's do it.
I'm devastated.
I mean, Kruk would be. We already kind of. It's up to you guys.
I'm devastated. I'm just Cousins now.
Luis Gonzalez.
Cousins.
That's gotta be under 15, right? Okay. Well, dude, a 126 rarity score, missing a box. They gave us 100 for that box, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You missed a box.
So technically, we failed because we were not immaculate.
That was as ineffective of huddle as we have ever had.
There was
like the miscommunication. We might as well have had 12 men in that huddle.
We need a trigger word. We need like a final
safe
answer.
word for the grid.
Yeah,
a safe word for the immaculate grid.
In fairness, it was the hardest one, right? I mean,
no, the hardest one was A's and Rays.
It was the easiest one.
Yeah.
But we were trying to get cute. We were trying to get cute.
Yeah, I feel like we're too focused at times on trying to get cute.
But this
with
was
our
the day
score.
to get cute because like all those Twins ones.
No, I know, but the
nailed,
Twins ones we were just absolutely all.
Casimir was twice with the Rays. Longoria 3 times. Alex Colomé, that could have been hilarious. Matt Moore, James Shields.
James Shields would have been a great one.
Matt Joyce, that would have been great.
Matt Joyce?
Yeah.
What?
Looking at it.
That's probably when they were bad.
Let's not let this erode the Immaculate Grid locker room here, okay? Listen, we're gonna get better. This is a team game.
Easily correctable.
Falls on all of us for poor communication there. And we'll try to do better next time. Still pretty impressive. A 126.
We didn't get it. It's not.
I'm pissed. Yeah.
No, I'm not happy about any of this.
All right. Well, there's your Score North Twin show here. We'll see if the Twins can keep the bats hot and create some distance from Cleveland. We just want the Twins to win a playoff game. Just a playoff game. Just one. Thanks for hanging out with us.